Cohiele is a Comrade Bolliari Armagin. Madele Ruin a shock the Buinin Chile Kursi Palestine is Israel. I'm moving, I first of all want to say is that Francesco Rossa is still grounded by events over which even he has no control. I did, because of the importance of this motion, send him an elaborate message about the importance of using ferries and having contingency plans, but obviously they haven't been totally successful. The other part I want to say about this motion, because I have to stay within time, we have a lot of business to do, is that the motion is almost like a speech rather than a motion. My original motion was somewhat shorter, but Central Council put an enormous amount of work into detailing every aspect of the present situation, and then Prunches had been, as you know, has been a regular visitor to Gaza and has been dealing with the Middle East issue on a continuous basis. So going through the motion in the amount of time that I have, let me say just a couple of things. We are not beginning a discussion on the matters in relation to the Middle East, matters of Palestine and matters of Israel. And it would be very wrong to say that we are beginning and therefore that we are approaching it, and we must say we must now regard ourselves as being incredibly neutral. There are matters about which we can't be neutral. There are matters about which we can't delay. These are matters like the position of children and civilians in Gaza at the present time. Matters equally, to be fair, in relation to capital punishment, which I condemn outright in relation to the executions that have taken place in Gaza just recently. Matters in relation to the attacks of civilians anywhere. Breaches of international law in relation to occupation, evictions, the extension of settlements, evictions in East Jerusalem. So the motion in its complex way suggests as well that you cannot look on. I visited all of these areas in the 1980s for the very first time during what was called the First Intifada. I've been in Gaza since we've last spoke twice. I have looked at the humanitarian situation that is there. We need, therefore, and this particular resolution, to be very clear about where the Labour Party stands. And the length of the resolution is that suggested that you take it away and that you will see that every aspect of the present position is in fact covered. The detail, for example, of the life of Palestinians within Palestine itself is discussed. And there we are relying on human rights information from some human rights organisations based in Israel, such as B'Tselem, for example. That deals with the right to earn your living, the right to farm, the right to movement, the right to have free access in relation to securing health. And the next part that arises in relation to this then is, if a peace process is to come from somewhere, can you rely, for example, on major power like the United States to switch on and switch off in relation to its interest? The fact of the matter is, when you get into the second half of the Obama presidency, Israel, Palestine, Middle East could go off the agenda. At that stage, there is no progress. So last year, we were in fact willing to hear everything from every side, both in terms of practical information from Prunches' visits, my own visit to Gaza, from our discussions with human rights organisations and international lawyers. But in this particular conference, we want this motion passed. And you will see in it, as well as I'm concluding now, reference to the work which Joe Costa has done in the European Affairs Committee, where he has suggested that the existing agreements that are there, in particular in relation to the requirements and the human rights clauses of Articles 2 and 3, that they be examined with a time period clearly specified, and whatever conclusion is reached, we take action in that regard, including, for example, the right of suspension of such agreements. So I want to assure you, please take this, not just vote for this resolution, but take it home and discuss it, so that we will, in fact, not just be bystanders on matters that are moral and urgent. I move